Hi, welcome back to Paul and Aging Hippie, my channel where I look back on my life through the soundtrack of my life. Today, we're going back to 1982 with a worldwide successful track and possibly the start of the worst 2 years of my life. To learn more, meet me the other side of this. Well, thank you for coming back. I must warn you in this video, I may get quite emotional. It's probably the most powerful message I've ever given over. So please, after the music, please stay with us to learn what tragic events were happening in my and Olive's life. Okay, so the track we're going to be looking at today is Eye of the Tiger, a song that was written by Survivor, an American rock group, for the film Rocky III, and it was released that year, 1982. Now, it reached number one on the charts of many countries. In the US, it was number one on the Billboard Hot 100 charts for 6 weeks. In the UK, it sold 956,000 copies and was number one for 4 consecutive weeks. And it was, like I say, number one on many charts around the world. Right, if you're going to stay with us, please hit the subscribe button. Come along with us and enjoy this journey of mine. Don't forget to like. The like button is very important. And comment in the comment sections. Let me know what you thought about what we were going through. Let me know what you thought of the video, or the track, and probably suggest other musical tracks that you'd like me to play. Okay, so without further ado, and before we get into what was happening in my life, let's listen to Survivor, Eye of the Tiger. Yeah, what a banging song. Yeah. It was possibly one of the biggest selling records of that year worldwide. I think Olivia Newton-John had the biggest, and that was probably the second biggest in the whole world. If you remember, those who have been with me for a while, you remember me telling you that Oliver gave birth to a daughter, our daughter, on Valentine's Day, 1981, previous year. We named her Zoe, and we were told she'd only live for 3 days. So I always had it in mind that I wanted her to see her first birthday. I don't know why, but it just that's the way it went. So 1982, Valentine's Day the 14th, on the 12th of February 1982, a year since Zoe was born and was only given 3 days, Olive started having the familiar pains of miscarriage. She'd had a few, and we had to call the ambulance. She was rushed into hospital. Now, that left me a single father looking after three children, one of which was severely handicapped. She took 24/7 care. So I called in a uh, respite centre who we used to use occasionally, give us a little bit of a break for a weekend now and again. And they agreed to take her in for the duration that Olive was in the hospital. So this was the Friday night. They took her in, and I sorted the other two children out. Eventually went to bed myself. On the Saturday morning, the 13th of February, the postman arrived, and it seemed like my wishes or my dreams had all come true, and that she'd made it to a year, because in the post was her first year birthday cards. Obviously, there's no post on a Sunday when her birthday actually was the following day on the 14th, Valentine's Day. So obviously there was a feeling of elation and euphoria in me. I opened up all the cards and it just felt absolutely great. After a year of struggling with her, we'd realised her first birthday. 10 minutes after that, I got a knock on the door. And as soon as I opened the door and saw who was standing outside, I realised it wasn't good. It was the people from the respite centre who had never knocked on my door before. So I invited them in, and before they even opened their mouth, I knew what they were going to say. Zoe, unfortunately, had passed away that morning, so she hadn't quite made it to her first birthday after all. Now, that was bad enough, except I then had to find somebody to look after the other two children, Natasha and Natalie, our eldest two, and phone the hospital and tell them what I was planning to do. Come and inform Olive of what had happened. So I got somebody to look after the children, went down to the hospital. Luckily, one of the people from the respite centre came with me for support because I was a mess at that point. I was an absolute mess. So when I got there, the matron of the ward, obviously we'd spoken to her a little earlier and told her what the situation was, come up to me and said, "I'm so sorry, Paul, but I've got to tell you that you've also lost the baby that Olive was carrying." So I had to go in. They'd moved her into a side ward for this reason. And I had to do the hardest thing I've ever had to do in the whole of my life, apart from actually carrying Zoe's coffin to the grave a couple of weeks later. And that was to inform Olive that not only had she lost the baby that she was carrying, but also she lost Zoe. Zoe had died in the night. So we huddled each other, we cuddled, we cried, we um, tried to get through those moments. And later in that year, we had another baby, which sort of didn't take any of the pain away, but it did sort of give us a new focus. And that was the last time Olive gave birth to our youngest daughter. Now, 83, I'm going to go into 83 because it's still a part of this story. It was a topsy-turvy year for us. I mean, obviously, not only had we lost Zoe, but we also had a newborn daughter to look after. So there was some happiness, some sadness, a lot of sadness. I was still without work, and there was very little chance of me ever getting any work at that point. So I started to drink more, and then drink more. I also got into a relationship with another girl. Nothing ever happened, but I started using harder drugs for a while. I did tell Olive. I came honest with that bit. I was honest with Olive, but I saw very little way out, and my depression was getting worse and worse. And one day I actually left home with the sole intention of walking to the nearest train line and walking in front of a train. Fortunately, I didn't. I started thinking about my three children, and I started thinking about what it would be like for them to lose their father. And I turned around and came back home. I saw that I would sort something out, something would get better. The following year, I'm not going to go into it, but the following year was an epiphany year, and that started the renewal, if you like, the turning our bad luck, our bad fortune into better fortune. And I'll give you more on that at a later date. Okay, I'm sorry I didn't quite get as emotional as I thought I would do. That sounded bad. No, I'm not sorry that I didn't become emotional. Um, I'm sorry that I had to give you this message, but I did say to you I'd give you it, my life, warts and all. So, although the song was a banging one, my story was a harrowing one. Okay, back to better things tomorrow. I love you all. You take care, and please come back and share these accounts with me again. You take care now. Bye bye.